Well, welcome to Conversations with Cubit. Thank you for joining me tonight. If you are looking for information, if you are looking for inspiration and hope, you have landed in the right place. Thank you for supporting these weekly conversations. I am telling you, I am very excited about tonight's conversation and tonight's guest. But before we get started, I want to ask you if you voted today. If you live in Oklahoma City, you should have voted today. And I'm very proud of you for participating in the process. Good job, y'all. Good job. Now, as always, I try to be the type of person that displays attitude, the attitude of gratitude. And one of those things that I'm grateful for is all of the emails, text messages, countless inbox messages that we get every week supporting these conversations. So keep them coming. They make us feel really, really good. Now you can find all of these weekly conversations. You can find them on YouTube. You can go back. Now, if you're new to the conversation, welcome to the family. We're excited that you found your way here. Go back and, like I said, go back and subscribe to my YouTube channel and find some of the past conversations. Just look up Conversations with Cubit and take your pick of any of the informative, great conversations. But I need you to do me a favor right now, is to share this conversation. That's right. Do not keep this conversation to yourself. Tonight, we are talking to one of the candidates for Oklahoma County District Attorney. Very important position. And so you absolutely must share this conversation with your community. Hit the share button right now. Hurry up. All right. Special thanks to my friends at Green Pastures for always hosting these conversations. We're not there today, but my friends Richard and Amy James are running things out there. So look them up. It's very exciting what they're doing out there. Full-fledged movie production, commercials, and even a training academy on working in the film industry. Look them up, you'll be glad you did. But as you can see, we are not in the studio tonight. And I will tell you more about that in just a second. But let me tell you my 3 simple goals for these weekly conversations. 1 is I want to add value to people and my community. 2, I want to inspire you to believe in what people and communities can become when we're willing to work together. And number 3, last but not least, is I just want to love people, period. No strings attached. All this means is that I want you to be inspired, I want you to get useful information and resources, and I want to celebrate individuals, groups, and organizations who are making a positive impact on our community. Every conversation will be about information, inspiration, and hope. Now, let me tell you where we're at. Our host is literally cheesecake heaven. Yes, we are at Nacho Cheesecake located at 3933 North College Avenue in Bethany, Oklahoma. Nacho Cheesecake is a one-of-a-kind cheesecake bakery that makes unique cakes from scratch that you cannot find anywhere else except for maybe heaven. This place has been highlighted by several news outlets and media outlets, and it happens to be Black-owned and operated. So keep this place in mind for your next office party. I want you to think about your family celebration. And I want you people that's on, think about, you gotta have cheat days. Think about your next diet cheat day. You can find out more information about Nacho Cheesecake on their website and on their Facebook page. They've been around since 2019. Check out my man, Glenn. Now, let's get started. It is a great honor of mine to introduce you to tonight's guest. Joining me tonight is Robert Gray. Robert is a lifelong Oklahoman. In fact, his family has deep roots in central Oklahoma, with his ancestors having made the land run of 1889. Robert grew up in Edmond, Oklahoma, graduated from the Edmond Memorial High School. He attended the University of Oklahoma and earned a bachelor's degree in sociology and criminology. And then he went on to attend Oklahoma City University School of Law and got his doctorate there. So after graduating from law school, he was admitted to the Oklahoma bar. His first job as an attorney was with none other than the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office. Robert then moved into private practice and has maintained a successful law practice for the last 12 years. He has represented clients in federal, state, and municipal court around the state. He is well known for his criminal defense work, and Robert is a member of the Oklahoma Bar Association, the Oklahoma County Bar Association, and he lives in Edmond with his wife, his children, and their rescue dog, Frank. He is a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, and when he is not at work, he enjoys OU football, loves to swing the club on the golf course a little bit, and marathoning. In fact, he has one ultra marathon to his credit. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my new friend, Robert Gray.
All right.
How you did?
Thank you.
How did that feel? Feels good?
Feels good, yeah.
Get used to
absolutely, yeah.
District Attorney is going to get introduced a lot.
Sure,
If
sure.
we can get that. So
Sure.
I want to start out. Have you been here before? Have you had this cheesecake before?
I have not. I have not had this yet.
All right, so I'm gonna. I know you into fitness and stuff, but we're gonna blow we're gonna blow it out the water.
Okay.
Here with some cheesecake. Here, my man Glenn's gonna get us. I'm gonna try the whiskey.
All right, fair
I'm
enough.
gonna try the whiskey side. All right, so I'm a police officer, and I want to get to know you, and I want everybody out here to get to know you. So I have
Sure.
some questions I want to ask you, but before I got some of this for me. I got 15 questions that you just answer. It's kind of like chocolate or vanilla. I want to see where we align. Right? Okay. All right.
Fair
All
enough.
right, let me pull them up here. All right. Okay. Going real fast. You don't have to think about this.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. All right. If you're in Oklahoma, would you rather be in Oklahoma in August or in January?
August.
August. Okay. Golfer, I probably think so. For you, is it sneakers or tennis shoes?
Tennis shoes.
Tennis shoes. Okay. Would you rather have a phone call or a text message?
Phone call.
Okay. All right.
I'm old school like that.
Old school. Okay. All right. Going to music, Michael Jackson or Prince?
Oh, Michael Jackson.
Oh,
King
Michael-
Pop.
Okay. All right. Do you call it pop or is it soda?
Coke. Just
Is it-
everything
is Coke?
Everything's a Coke.
Sprite is Coke.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I got
Coke.
it.
It all gets the same.
All right. Truck or car?
What's it again now?
Truck or car?
Truck.
Truck. Okay.
Yep,
Good.
yep.
Gotta have room for the clothes.
Yep.
Okay, I get it. Would you rather have a handshake or a hug? Handshake guy or hug guy?
I hate people touching me, period. But I'll do a handshake, but hugging, no.
Okay, I
Please
get it.
don't.
I get it. I already know the answer to this now. But watching TV, there's nothing else on TV but golf or baseball. Which one?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Really?
I played baseball growing up. Well, since MLB is in a lockout, I'll go with golf right now because they're actually playing.
Okay.
Every
All
day.
right. That's good. All right. You got to go to one of these:
Okay.
birthday party or wedding.
Oh, birthday party.
Birthday party.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Good. What was worse as a child? Was it getting a whooping or was it a punishment? Being on punishment.
Oh, punishment.
You hated it.
The shame. The shame.
Get it. I get it.
Absolutely.
All right. Music again. Rap or rock?
Oh, rap all day long.
All day long.
All day
Who?
Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg. I mean, all
Come
the
on,
old,
you
all
got
the
it.
old
Oh,
school,
yeah,
Chronic.
that's right. You're gonna love the
that's
Super
what-
Bowl Sunday.
Orangey.
Yeah, you're gonna love it. Apple or Android? Apple or Android?
Apple.
Apple. Okay. Kevin Hart or Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy.
Ooh, you are old school
Yes,
to
I
the bone.
am.
All right. This is a good one. You're at a sporting event,
Okay.
crowded arena, and you see the wave coming your
Yeah.
direction. Are you annoyed, or are you just waiting for it to get there?
I am thoroughly annoyed.
Me
Beyond. It drives me
too.
crazy. But
I can't. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not getting up. I'm not
bothered me
getting
my
up.
whole life, but-
I cannot stand it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
leave me alone. Sit down, everybody. Right.
Watching the
Okay.
game.
All right. That's fun. So
good.
hopefully it loosens you up a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So I want to know a little bit about you, other than
Yeah.
the bio.
Sure. Well, like it says, I'm from Oklahoma. I've got the question, hey, Robert, you go through this election, are you going to be packing up and moving on June 29th if you don't win? And the answer is no. I mean, I'm from here, grown up here, and this is where our home is. My family and myself, it's where my law practice is also. So a little bit about myself, like I said, criminal law is where I got my start, the DA's office, and then professionally, but I also kind of branch out. I do corporate contracts, real estate, a little bit of everything. So family, I've done some DHS stuff. So I've kind of get out there a little bit and check some things out. As far as personally, you pretty much heard it all. I mean, there's really not much else there.
Well, once we know you don't like the wave.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
we
don't
pretty
like
much
the
got-
wave
right.
and don't like being hugged. So
Right.
Other than that, I mean, that's about all you really need to know. So
Right. Brothers,
but,
sisters, mom and dad.
Yeah. So I have a brother who's in the U.S. Army. So go Army. And I have two sisters. One's actually an attorney, And then my dad's still a practicing lawyer. He's trying to give it up soon, but we'll see how that goes. So
That's good.
anyway, yeah. Then my mom, she lives in Edmond. So
No, anybody in politics in your family?
no, not at all. I'm the first person that's ever decided that this was a good idea to run for office. So now I have some relatives that one of them was in fact the police chief in Old Mulgee. Back in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
But that's about it. I mean, that's as far back as we can go as far as finding anybody that would run for office.
All right, I got to ask you.
So-
This is a big, high-profile position.
Sure.
It's got a lot of attention lately in our county, probably more than anybody would even ask for in that role. But it's been a lot.
Sure.
Why in the world would you decide to do it and do it now?
Sure. So timing is everything, and you'll probably hear me throughout the night saying this. You'll hear me say it again. God's timing is not your timing. It's not my timing. It's His, and it's set up perfectly. And I say that in the sense that I feel like I have enough experience at this point in my career that I'm ready to take on that challenge, but not too inexperienced not to know what's going on, and then not too old to be like, I'm tired and I don't want to mess with this. With that being said, I worked there for 2 years. Got to know the ins and outs of the Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office. Then I've worked, in opposite of the Oklahoma County DA's office. And as the timing of it lined up, I've seen some things in the past that I just didn't like the way things were done, or the way people were treated. They weren't treated fairly, whether that be a defendant or even a lawyer. And I finally complained about it to enough people that said, well, Robert, if you want to do something about it, we're talking about it, why don't you go do something about it? Well, what would that be? And they said, well, why don't you run for DA when it comes open? And I said, well, I don't know, maybe I'll think about it. But I didn't know that Mr. Prater was ever going to retire. I mean, I didn't know. And then finally, the timing came up. We're looking at 2022. And so last year, I just called Mr. Prater, said, are you going to run? You're not going to run? He said, I am finished. Thank you for calling and asking. I appreciate that. But good luck to you. You can have it. So that's kind of the timing of it. I thought, well, he's stepping down. This will be an open seat. It's the first time I've heard since, the 70s maybe.
Oh,
that
really?
was an open,
yeah. Right.
Just open. No one's been appointed to it. No one stepped down. I mean, it is an open seat. Go have at it. So with all that being said, that's how I got here. Was I said, you know what? I think I can do it my way. I think I can do it the right way, and I think I can do it better. So that's.
Was there for me? I had all of those same feelings. So
Sure.
I get it, but there was also there was like an incident that was like, there was a thing. Was there a thing or an incident or something that you saw on the news or you knew about that just said that has to be fixed?
Not really. There wasn't really it was more of a culmination of, and just kind of a building towards it, and just seeing different things and looking at it and looking at the. It's a big sacrifice, absolutely. Sacrifice for my family, number one.
Even the campaigning process.
Campaigning
is a
process
sacrifice.
alone, but then just the pressures that come along with that job that I can sort of begin to fathom, but until you're in those shoes, I don't think you can truly understand what it's like. I've been around Mr. Prater, I've talked to him, but I don't think you can truly appreciate it until you get there and wear those shoes. But in any event, no, there really wasn't a singular event that I said, that's it. So I wish I could point to something like that. But
talk about your top priorities that you want us to know about. Like,
Yeah.
this is what's different.
Absolutely. So violent crime is one of my biggest things that I'm really upset about when I sit and watch the evening news. And that's one of my big things is we're trying to reduce violent crime. And how are we going to do that? I think it goes to my next thing is mental health and addiction treatment. And I think those are two areas that we really need to focus on while we're out there, because you see these incidents and you come to find out, well, they had this issue or that issue. And I'm not saying that mental health may be the only reason, and I don't want that to be used as a crutch to get out of trouble. But if that's a big issue of why we're here, then we need to address that. And then my third is backing law enforcement 100%. And having the officers know that when they're out there on the street and it's 2:30 in the morning and they're getting ready to make a decision, they're not thinking about who the district attorney is and what he might do. All they're thinking about is, I'm going to do what I've been trained to do, I'm going to follow the law, and Robert will take care of it, the rest.
Right. That's interesting. Do you think that? Do you think
Yeah.
that being a law enforcement, do you think that that has become, not just here in Oklahoma County, but across the nation, that officers are second guessing their actions, causing more risk to themselves because they're worried about the
I think some are, and I think some of them aren't second guessing, they're just retiring.
just leaving.
Say that I can find a better job.
Right.
Yeah, I can do anything.
Right.
I'm not going to have to put my family and myself personally in that position, period. And
Yeah.
that we can't have that. Because to have a civil society, we have to have a strong police force and police presence. And that goes for all the communities in Oklahoma County, not just Oklahoma City, not just Bethany, where we are now, but Edmond, Choctaw, Harris, name it. They
Right.
all need to be strong, and they all need to work together.
Right. So this is probably the elephant in the room now,
Sure.
right? Is the fact that right now, and probably whoever the next DA, we have a number of police officers that have been charged with serious crimes by the current DA. They will probably still be going through that process when you're sworn in.
Right.
What do you do with those cases? How do you hold not just the community accountable, but there is a certain expectation of accountability that the community expects for law enforcement as well? What do you do to maintain trust with law enforcement and still hold them accountable?
Right. And as they should. I mean, everybody should. Law enforcement should be held to a standard, and everybody should be held to a standard. As far as the specific cases that are pending right now, ethically, I feel like I can't answer. I would do this the first day I'm in office, or I would do something else. So I won't specifically address the ones that are charged. I will say that the ones that are charged currently would get a full and fair review day one, and make sure and look at all the evidence, because that's the biggest thing. Is I know as much as anybody else that's watched the news. I've seen a little news clip. I've maybe seen a little bit of body cam footage, and that's all. That's all I know about it. So I'd like a fair opportunity to review all the facts, because they make a difference in this, and then make a decision, whatever that decision is. And then as far as the community goes, reassuring them that that's what our office is about, is we're going to do the right thing. Is the right thing, after you've looked at all the facts and evidence, to dismiss a case against an officer or not charge an officer? Say, okay, then that's what we're going to do. If the right thing is to charge an officer and go forward because they need to be held accountable because they violated the law, then that's what we're going to do. And that's what I want the public to understand and the community to understand, is we just do the right thing. We don't waver. We don't. It's not political. It's not political wins. It's not what the community wants or thinks we should do, or what the people on social media think we should do. We're just going to do the right thing from day one, and let the.
Well, there's certainly been a candidate. Sure. There's certainly been a candidate that comes straight out and said, day one,
yeah,
I'm dismissing that.
Yeah, and he has that absolute right, but I'm not going to.
What's wrong with his position?
I think ethically, I don't think you can comment on a pending case that you have not seen, that you don't represent either side in, and then you still have ethics rules on how much you could say publicly about the case. But then, just from me personally, I just think you don't know enough about it.
Right.
I just don't know enough about it, so I'm going to leave it at that. Sure, on that.
Yeah. Does a case involving law enforcement take a higher precedence when it's an officer involved shooting? How is that weighed versus the shooting of a licensed gun owner?
So you've got media traction that you're going to get with a law enforcement shooting. We've all seen them all, and watch it tonight. Turn on your news channel. I think it's important that we treat every crime, every shooting is serious, because you have to remember, it's not just the officer that pulled the trigger, or the citizen that pulled the trigger. There's their life. There's their family's life. There's a victim out there that's been hurt or killed. There's their family also. And then there's a community that's hurting too. And whoever pulls the trigger, whoever does whatever they do, it's like throwing a rock in a pond. You have this ripple effect.
Yeah.
So, are they given more priority? I don't say more priority.
Or favoritism.
I mean, favoritism? No. Fairness. Fairness, and that's one of my things you'll hear me talk about is fairness. Everybody's going to be treated fairly. Defense lawyer be treated fairly. Defendants treated fairly. The victims treated fairly. Everybody gets their say.
Right.
So it all comes down to fairness, sure.
Right. Have you seen over the 12 years you've been in practice in defending people in the criminal justice system, where have you seen the fairness or the lack of fairness poke out its little head at the most? Is there a point in the justice system where we need to?
Well, one of the biggest things, and this is a sad truth, and people don't want to talk about it, but if you can afford a decent lawyer, you can get more justice at the courthouse.
So it's how much justice you can afford,
Heard it said?
not what's right or wrong.
It happens.
What do you do about that?
Yeah, exactly. So what do you do about that, Robert? What are you going to do about that? Well, you've got to train your assistants to treat every case with, where we have to have a system. We have to have something in place. And we have to say, these are the facts. This is what's going to happen. These are, they have this lawyer, this lawyer. It doesn't matter. Now, you get some trial, you make some strategic decisions. That's fine. The biggest thing that really bothers me as a defense lawyer, and this is kind of going into history here a little bit because it's been eliminated, but was the life without parole for trafficking drug crimes. That was something that is a stain, I believe, on Oklahoma and on our history. And I believe
being able to do that
they were even able to do that. They didn't kill anybody. You could go put a gun in somebody's face at the 7-Eleven. That wasn't an LWOP crime. Life without parole, LWOP crime. That wasn't. Any priors? On the road. And there were some cases I had during the crack cocaine days, when crack cocaine was a big thing, that were potential LWOP cases. And those still bother me. I don't have anybody doing exactly a life without on a crack cocaine, but they took deals with many, many years, but that's the choice that they were left with. So that's one of the things that there's a crime.
And there's hard choices that they have to make, right?
Sure.
And those choices are presented by the district attorney's office.
Sure.
Right.
Well, but it also goes back to defendant accountability too. Because to get to that LWOP, they had to have prior crimes. They had to have been down this road before. So you can't take away defendant accountability. But I'm glad that our system and our laws have at least adapted to what I say is modern day, that it can give people an opportunity to make themselves better and get back out there.
So that really leads into to the next question I have is like prosecutorial discretion. Discretion in cases, how you charge, when to charge, that kind of stuff. Can you talk about what that is, the discretion, the discretion that the DA's office has in charging people? How do you use it?
Sure. So in Oklahoma, our system is pretty broad. Joe defendant goes and commits crime, whatever it is. Police arrest him, take him in. Do the paperwork. Detective brings the paperwork down to the DA's office. DA sits and looks at it. This is what the officer thinks they should be charged with. Well, they may have 5 or 6, 7 charges on there. And the ADA is sitting there looking at that, needs to make a decision on, what are our priorities, what are we doing, and where are we trying to go. There's undercharging, there's overcharging. Hey, we're going to throw the book at this guy.
How many assistant DAs are there? I mean, I don't really know. That's a lot.
I haven't counted lately. 40, 50. There's plenty.
How do you control? How are we going to get consistency out of this? So you're going to say, I imagine there's a big meeting and they said, this is what this office is focused on.
Sure.
And so we don't want to undercharge or overcharge, but these are the things.
Right.
What is those things?
Well, policy and procedure is always big in every organization that you run that's more than, even if it's a one-person organization, you still got to have policies and procedures. So I think they need to have the good training. They need to know what our priorities are. Our priorities are violent crime. Our priorities are mental health. Our priorities are backing law enforcement. Well, if we took every charge in that officers work to put together, and we just say, nothing, decline, whatever, decline, we're not doing the community a service, and we're not doing the officer a service either. That work to put that charge together. So we have to understand what our mission is, and our mission is to protect the public. And that is our mission. We have to keep that in mind when we're making these charging decisions. So I think, just policy and procedure and working with our law enforcement and reaching out and talking to them, bring the charge in. Okay, who is this person? Because the thing I would like to have happen is when an assistant DA either gets a charge or they get a new file on their desk of a charge starting file, I want them to ask, the first thing to ask is, why is Joe defendant here on this desk right here today? How did he get here? And I want them to have that conversation with themselves. I think it's important, because I think to understand a case, you need to understand the whole person. And that comes from me being there, working with defendants.
Well, you're going
for
down a deep hole if you're going to ask how they got there. I mean,
how did they get here? Is it a mental health issue? Mm-hmm. Are they just a really bad person? Is it an addiction problem? I mean, I don't know what the answer is to the question. We don't have a person, but they do need to address those issues up front and think about those things when we're charging and when we're prosecuting.
Do you think the certain level of accountability that you all apply in charging and prosecuting serves as a big deterrent for crime, or is it just holding people accountable?
Well, I think as far as deterrence for crime, I think that's where, district attorney, a lot of people don't know who that is. They don't know what they do. They might see them on the news. They may get them confused with the attorney general. They may think they only do, I've had that happen.
Yeah.
They may think they go to federal courts. They don't know what they do. And I think our biggest deterrent is law enforcement on the street. Uniform, police presence, out there working the beat. And then also programs like the ones that you're involved in, reaching out to the community and saying, this is what law enforcement's all about. And that's something as the DA I would like to do is not so much, hey, Robert Gray, the DA, don't commit crimes. Not so much that, but working with law enforcement partners to get that public face out there for a deterrent, which I think it is important for sure.
What's going to be? I like to see when leadership change.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see a distinct difference. Whether it be, what's going to be the distinct difference other than the face of the DA? What's the thing that we as the community would immediately notice about how that office is run?
I think you're going to find assistants that are excited and happy to go to work every day, that take into account who their leader is and who the people that are leading them are, and just that they're ready to do something. Because like I said, it's a faceless office really, but you have all these assistants that you depend upon to make critical decisions, and they can't consult you every time. There's too many cases.
Right.
I mean, there's 20, 25, 30,000 cases a year. You can't ask Robert about every single one of those, but I want them to know that they have that they're excited to go to work, they're happy to be there, and victims are contacted. You're hearing from our office. People are getting callbacks. Communication is happening. That's one of my biggest complaints as a defense lawyer is just lack of communication, and it's very frustrating.
Communication with victims, families of suspects.
Well, yeah, and so, and then communications between the ADA and the defense lawyer. We don't have. It's an adversarial system. I understand that. But let's have conversations before we get to court, so we can try to resolve some of these issues, understand where both sides are coming from, and we can make a more informed decision, and then use our time wisely at work.
As a defense attorney, here's a tough question. This is
Sure.
off the
No,
cuff.
you're fine. Go ahead.
So, as a defense attorney, did you not see part of your job was justice, seeking justice?
Absolutely.
As a defense attorney?
Absolutely.
And as the office you seek, the district attorney.
Yes.
Is that not the job of the district? Justice?
Absolutely.
Why is it adversarial?
And
if we both want the same thing.
Well, because I think the DA oftentimes is pigeonholed into they're only trying to put people into prison. And see, that's where I don't want people to see me as. I want them to see me as a whole person and as a whole district attorney. That's not our sole focus. Our sole focus is to protect the community. And how we get there, prison may be an option. There are bad people out there.
You're telling me right now.
I've represented them. You've encountered them. I mean, they are.
Right.
I've shared the air with some very, very bad people, as you have too. And there is a place for them. But then there's also people that I believe that we are incarcerating that don't need to be. And we need to identify who those people are, get them the help they need, and at the same time still protect our victims and protect our community.
Okay. So you alluded to this in one of your answers just now. The crack cocaine,
sure.
The unfairness of it. Would you please just address how you plan to reduce the racial disparities in charging, bail recommendations, there's the numbers are kind of startling.
Yeah.
In racial disparities.
Yeah.
How do you address that? I mean, it's the elephant in the room. A lot of times, you're going to have to answer it.
Sure, and I think it starts with education, and I think it starts with people recognizing it and doing something about it. There was an interesting book that I had. You saw my background in sociology and criminology, and it's a book, and I encourage people to go read it. I think it's in its, I probably have the original copy, but anyway, it's The Rich Get Richer, the Poor Get Prison. And it's an interesting study, and it addresses some of the things you're talking about in disparity. And this was written, it's been updated, but this is 20 years ago now. Same things I found the other day, the same things still hold true in there. So I think it comes down to education and getting out in the community and understanding people's lives and what they go through and how it affects how this one, it may be a simple case to you as an ADA, you're looking at it, this is a nothing deal, but you have to understand that this is going to have a domino effect. And I don't think that's taken into account a lot. I know it's not. And that really bothers me. So as far as racial disparity in charging, prison sentences, bail, I think it comes down to education. And
education of the staff.
Of the staff. They need to know, hey, here's the numbers, here's what we're tracking, what are we doing wrong? And then bringing in officers, outside people, give us a little bit of education on, hey, here's what our numbers are showing, Mr. Officer, is it you all, is it us? Where are we missing, where's the disconnect? Are we doing something wrong? Is the police doing something wrong? Why are we having this issue? So I think it's a team effort. So.
Right. So what's the racial training, and bias training, the diversity training? What does that look like for the staff when you were there, and what would it look like once you're in charge of that?
See, back when I was there, this is 07 to 09, so it wasn't even a thing, So I don't none. As far as when I'm coming on, I think we need to recognize the issues that we have working with law enforcement and as prosecutors. And then I think, if there's somebody going and talking to a police department about this issue in the city, hey, why don't we have them come talk to us? Is there a law enforcement education on it? Hey, come talk to us about it. We'd love to have you. So absolutely. So I would like to host some of those trainings, just so everybody's aware of the situation. And so everybody, when they come into the system, they at least feel, they may not like the outcome. At least they know they got treated fairly when they got there.
How are complaints? So and I don't know the answer to this at all.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm just, what's the process? I understand when someone feels like an officer treated them unfairly based on race.
Right.
There's a process.
Sure.
What's the process at the DA's office, and how does a family, either victim's family, suspect's family, whatever, is saying, I don't believe that your office is treating us fairly, and that unfairness is based on race. How do they go about this complaint, and how's it investigated?
Yeah, so I would like to have kind of a, and it can be a small unit, but I'd at least like to have a DA investigator on it, and then a person supervisor level.
Does that exist now? I don't know. Okay.
I'm not there. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's how I at least have two people, at least two, that could to take these complaints and look into them. Hey, Mr. 80 Day, you had Joe defendant, and he or the victim's family's calling. What's going on? But I think there does need to be a process. But I think there at least needs to be a DA investigator on it and a supervisor level ADA that at least has been around the block a few times.
Yeah. Talk about bail recommendations.
Yeah. So I find it interesting that the DA's office, from what I've seen, is not at arraignment. Now I go to other counties. I travel all over the state. I've been as far as Boise City. Everybody knows where that is. That is 6 hours away from where you're sitting. It's every bit of 6 hours. There's an ADA at the arraignment, making a bail recommendation. Cleveland County does it. I sat there and watched it. Logan County does it. Anyway, I go on. But in any event, I think they need to be there, and I think they need to be recommending a bail. So at least the DA's office and the people, the community, has a voice in what the recommendation for bail is. I believe it goes off a jail schedule now. I would like to.
Who creates that?
It's been in existence since I showed up. I don't know. It just got created somewhere. It's just a little thing. I think the DA's
this
office,
crime equals this.
Yeah, it just is.
It's just made up.
I have no idea. I mean, I
don't know. I do know what you're talking
right,
about.
I've worked off of my whole life.
Right.
I don't know where it came from. It just magically appeared one day. Who knows what year?
Whoever knows that, tell me.
If someone knows, would be great. But I think as district attorney, you need to be looking at those and then seeing if those are, for that particular crime, that particular defendant, is that the right bond? Is it too high? Is it too low? And then make a recommendation to the judge on every case.
Right. Okay. So we've all heard in recent times massive mistakes in prosecution and wrongful convictions.
Sure.
What measures will you put in place to ensure the integrity of all convictions?
Well, I've been getting questions about this, and then I've done my research across the country, and they're starting these conviction integrity units, CIUs, if you will, and they go back and they look into some of these cases, take a look at what happened, and see if there's any problems with it. I'm not opposed to creating something like that as we get into it. One of my biggest problems I have is a case goes to jury trial, and I don't think there's any follow-up with law enforcement and with the ADAs on what happened. So whether they got not guilty, guilty, whatever, or maybe they walked part, got guilty on part. But I think that's something that would be important, and it's important to me. And I would like to see something set up like that where law enforcement officer could come in and say, hey man, we got, this guy walked out the door, but here's what we think we can do better next time. Or, yeah, we got this guy, this guy went to prison, successful, victims are happy, everybody's happy, here's what we think we did right, and here's what we can do better next time. But I think that conviction integrity, I need to do some more studying on it and how it actually operates in other larger DA's offices across the country. But I'm open to it, and I think it would be important going forward, because you can't have, we can't, this job is so serious.
Yeah.
And as a police officer, as a district attorney, it is so serious. You can't get it wrong. But we're human. Humans make mistakes, and that's the human element of the whole thing. We can't get it. We got to do everything we can to protect it to where we don't get it wrong.
Okay, so this is going to be a simple question then to that regard.
Sure.
How do you define justice? I think how do you define it, and then how do you champion it?
Sure.
From that office.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. It's this word, justice. What does that look like? And it looks like something different to every side and every person. And the victim has their idea. The defendant has their idea. Their families have their idea. The ADA has their. Everybody has their own idea of what that is. And I think my definition would be best saying that we did the right thing with this particular defendant. The outcome worked in the most number of people's favor, and we protected the community. So, that would be justice to me. And we did it with integrity, and we didn't do it behind closed doors. We didn't cheat to get there. And this will be upheld going forward.
Right.
So that's what it looks like to
the
me.
balance, I guess the trick is accountability,
Sure.
empathy, and then the office is also responsible for mercy at some point.
You have to.
And how do you, I know we all have different
Yeah.
ways of getting there, but
Yeah.
as the DA, you define those for us.
Yeah. And it's a delicate balance. Absolutely.
Right.
But all of those things have to be taken into account in every case. So I think with the right amount of training and the right amount of focus, I think we can get to a place where every case, not everybody's going to be happy. They can't be.
What's the how much training, additional training? So when you go to law school,
Sure.
you're tired, you want to go to work. There's a lot of cases that have to be juggled.
Right.
When there's time for training, and when do they do it?
So in Oklahoma, you're required to do 12 continuing legal education hours. 2 of those must be in ethics. So you have 12 total. And I believe that my office, we at least do something once a month. And that's how it was when I was there. They had a monthly CLE. And we could do something. We can get our credit while we're at it. And we can learn something.
Yeah.
So that's as far as training goes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like to see that. I like to figure out. I think everybody would like to know what training the DAs are getting on a regular basis. Like, I don't know if it's posted somewhere, what our DAs are going through. I don't know if that's the kind of transparency that we need to maybe trust the DA's office a little bit more, or is that something that you've thought about?
I hadn't really thought about it in that sense, but it's not a bad idea just to give at least an overview of, hey, this month this attorneys came in and we had a great deal, and we had a training, on prosecuting drug crimes or whatever it might be.
The first thing that happens in law enforcement when we mess up, they go, "Let's see his training."
Sure.
Let's see his training.
Sure.
What's that? Anyway, so you see where I'm
Right.
I'm
Absolutely.
going now.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go on. Drug charges are traditionally punished really harshly.
Sure.
In Oklahoma, really harshly. We know that. As an officer, I've often seen addiction a source of many, many crimes.
Mm-hmm.
What will you do to find the balance between accountability and rehabilitation?
Sure.
When it comes to, because drug addicted people cause harm,
They do.
victims, but they're also victim of that addiction too.
They are, and it's a cycle that goes on if you don't do something to stop it. The changing of the law and making possession of drugs misdemeanor, everything but marijuana, being misdemeanor. Now, simple possession is not misdemeanor. I've heard that that's having a detrimental effect on the community, in the sense that I've heard DAs say, well, we don't have a big enough hammer over this person to do anything about it, so just whatever. And that's not the stance that I want to take. There is a misdemeanor drug court that's in effect, and I want those drug crimes coming in. I want them prosecuted. But if we're at a misdemeanor possession level, let's get this person the help they need, and let's try to keep them from doing that cycle of, we're coming in here, we're in simple possession, we'll just give you a little fine, you'll move on. Because if you do that, I think you get to we committed violent crime. Now we're back, and we're not ever addressing the issue. But again, it comes down to defendant accountability also. And the thing I've learned through my years of practice is, until somebody is ready to help themselves, it doesn't matter who the DA is, it doesn't matter who the police in your life, it doesn't matter until they're ready to make that step. But I believe as the DA, you at least got to give them the tools, you got to at least show them that.
Is that a conversation with the judges as well?
Absolutely.
Right.
Hey, let's try to do something better. We try to incarcerate our way out of things. I think that's worked. I feel like we haven't moved the needle at all on that. I think some of the diversion courts are helping, but I think they need to be bigger, and I think we need to make sure we're working with our community partners to address these addiction issues for sure, because are we ever going to cure it? No, it's gone on for years.
I want to hear you say yes to that.
Well,
I want to hear you say yes to that.
But I'm a realist too.
Okay.
And I live in reality, and
Okay.
I've represented the same person 3, 4, 5, just as you've arrested the same person 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 times, whatever the number is. But if we can at least get to the most people possible, then I think we've done our job. But will we cure it forever? No, that's not reality.
Yep.
But
okay,
anyway.
so I got to ask you this, and we're gonna end it because
Sure.
there's so many more questions that we
Sure.
could unpack, and I think we got time before the election, so maybe
Right, absolutely.
we'll do something else. But currently, there's about 10 days or slightly more for charges to be filed against any arrest that's brought in.
Sure.
That any agency makes.
Right.
Is that a necessary delay? And the reason I ask that is because if they stay in there 10 days and the charges are not filed, those are lost jobs. There's a whole lot of things. Just being in jail
Right.
and arrested and no charges are ever filed. So there's 10 days. Is there any plan? Why is it 10 days? Or is there any plan to speed that up so that people will know what they're facing sooner? Or when charges are dropped, they can get back to their life?
Well, and I think it comes down to it's a unique problem for different jurisdictions.
Okay.
You have a smaller jurisdiction, they can get the person in, they can get them booked, they can get their blue sheet done where they put the charges on there and they put the defendant's information, the reports, what evidence that they have. And those blue sheets are brought down to the DA's office, and then that's what the ADA, the Assistant District Attorney, is looking at, is those blue sheets to decide charges. In a small department, you have to appreciate that that's much easier to do. The problem I think that Oklahoma City Police Department has is they just have so many charges they got to get through. They need that time. Unfortunately, they need that time. But I would like to at least have that conversation with them and their.
So that's more with the agency than it is with the DA?
I think it is. I don't. When I was there, at least, I don't. You were told. I mean, you got someone in custody. Get these charges out. That is your top priority because either you're going to decline it or you're going to file it, make a decision, and get it out of here.
Yeah.
Because that person is sitting in jail. Now, in out of custody people, you had a little more leeway. You could take another day or two because you had to get to your in custodies. And that same policy for me. You got to get to your in custodies because of the reasons you just stated. But I think it's working with the agencies and seeing if there's anything the DA's office can do to get those turned over. But hey, officer gets a report, you got to get the blue sheet. Maybe there's a better system. I don't know.
Right.
But it would be something definitely worth looking into because of the reasons that you gave. Because you sit there 10 days, you get hey, didn't get charged. Hey, congratulations.
Yeah.
You don't have a job. You kicked out of your apartment, and what do you do?
All right. So I appreciate your time being here. I'm going to give you this camera to give your pitch on how the community can support you. But while you do that, I'm going to reach over here because I wanted to try this whiskey cake that we ordered.
Absolutely.
You had a strawberry. I don't know if you're going to try it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I'm going to try this whiskey cake, but you tell us how we can support you.
So if you can go to www.grayforda.com, you can find my stuff there. Leadership, service, and fairness are my three big things. You can go to Facebook, Robert Gray for DA. We also have Twitter, Instagram, so all those places. If you like what you're hearing, go ahead and click that donate button on grayforda.com. And if I welcome your emails, I welcome messages, whatever. Just let me know if there's something, a particular question you might have. We'll have some events coming up, so website there will give you the event places that you can come meet and greet. Otherwise, I'd be glad to sit down and talk to you and see what we can do. But I really appreciate your time and having me out here. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy talking about it. A lot of people you get around when you're running for office get tired of hearing it. It's good to at least talk to somebody else and talk to all you all out there. So with that being said,
I'm going with the whiskey cake from Nacho Cheesecake. Look at this, pecans and all that stuff.
This is the strawberry. Get in there in the middle of it.
Cheat day just went south. That's it for Conversation with Cubit. Next week,
That's good.
one more DA candidate. Next week, Jackie Ford, I believe. That's it for Conversation. It's all about community. We'll see you, and thanks for joining us tonight. Good stuff.